Because just as I unearthed, there was a memo the DA in Manhattan, Cy Vance, handed out right after one of the huge protests, which involved looting and burning and anarchists and all kinds of theft. The DA comes out in this internal memo to his staff and he says, we're going to give the protesters, they're protesters, mind you, they're protesters,
Yeah, yeah,
give them
protesters.
CDs or dismissals. But if any of those protesters have any information about police misbehaving in their arrests or mishandling them, we will take those cases and prosecute them. So let the protesters go and the tables on the cops. Really? Two cops in Compton. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sick. I'm sick. People laughing. People laughing. A woman shot through the jaw trying to say what her number is. This is not America. People always say this is the most important election in your lifetime. I really mean it this time. I mean, I would take an oath on this. I would go to church on this because there's so much at stake, and we're right at the precipice where it'll all fall. I spent 32 years in law enforcement, in the courts, in the criminal justice system. I know that is my wheelhouse. And what is happening now with the defunding of police, with the stand down police orders, with the no bail, with prosecutors who are refusing to prosecute, what we've got now is total anarchy. And when the left talks about open borders, locking you down, defunding the police, and when Kamala Harris says the Constitution doesn't stop her from taking away our guns, we got
Yep.
real problems. We've got real problems. And you know what I think? I think not just the people who live in the cities that have been destroyed, Milwaukee, Kenosha, which is small town America, Milwaukee and Chicago and Seattle and Portland and Detroit, and not Detroit so much, they're in good shape, but Washington and so many cities, New York City. I mean, the Democrats know what they need, and they need law enforcement. They need criminal justice. People in the inner city know that the vast majority of victims of crime are black on black crime. Okay, they know they need protection, and so the black reverends, the Hispanic pastors, and all that other stuff, priests, they want law enforcement in the community. But the criminals are now emboldened. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know and that you talk about, Dave.
Yeah.
But this is the last chance. People are walking around with guns in their waistbands. They're not worried about anything. Because just as I unearthed, there was a memo the DA in Manhattan, Cy Vance, handed out right after one of the huge protests, which involved looting and burning and anarchists and all kinds of theft. The DA comes out in this internal memo to his staff and he says, we're going to give the protesters, they're protesters, mind you, they're protesters,
Yeah, yeah,
give them
protesters.
CDs or dismissals. But if any of those protesters have any information about police misbehaving in their arrests or mishandling them, we will take those cases and prosecute them. So let the protesters go and the tables on the cops. Really? Two cops in Compton. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sick. I'm sick. People laughing. People laughing. A woman shot through the jaw trying to say what her number is. This is not America.
How worried are you that the state of the system, because of everything that you just described there, that in a certain way it almost has to get worse before it can get better? That you can't get a reset when you have so many sort of cowardly DAs, now cowardly. I don't blame a lot of the police chiefs or the average policeman who's retiring early. I don't blame him. It's like, if you're not going to be backed up by your politicians, I don't blame them. But do you think it has to get worse because enough of them will have to disappear, and maybe you have to then vote in completely new politicians, most likely Republicans, without complete chaos happening, that it can't reset otherwise?
Well, I think two things. I think number one, it has to get worse and it will get worse. Okay, there's no question. The president is not going to use insurrection unless it does get worse. He said the time is not now. And I also think that these. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
I have.
You got your own insurrection over there.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. But I also think that these politicians, these prosecutors, are in. I mean, they're not going to be voted out for a few years. But the money that's coming in to support Antifa, outside money, and the money that's coming in to fund these people flying from one city to another city where they're bailed out in one city to then go to another city. I mean, there's big money behind the destruction of this country.
All right, so let's just hit a couple other things that you go into in the book. So since we've talked about New York and so much of your history is in New York, you're not a fan of Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City. I believe you call him Bozo de Blasio. Are you shocked how quickly the city has devolved under him? Even though I know you don't agree with any of his policies, but like just the rapid rate that so much of the city has just turned into chaos.
Look, the man is either stupid, incompetent, or both. All right? That's what I think of Bozo. The guy is a bozo. I mean, first of all, the fact that he would move to defund the police, the fact that he started half of this police hatred in New York. He's been very, very much pushing that agenda. He doesn't support the police. And I talked to a lot of the upper echelon in the police department, the top ranks there. I mean, they cannot deal with him and he can't deal with them. He's never been a fan of law enforcement. But by not deploying police, when there was looting going on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. Now, I'm not saying because they're wealthier there, they deserve protection. I'm not saying that at all. Because if you got a bodega and that's all you got, then that's your castle and you deserve protection because you're paying taxes too. But things that are so obvious, so apparent, all you have to do is deploy the police. He didn't do it. I mean, I was told, he told them, you're going to stand down or we're not deploying them. The same with Macy's in Herald Square. They're trying to start a fire in Macy's. Why is he so happy with that? And the dumbest thing the man ever said when he said, oh, no, these are peaceful protesters. You're blind too. Where he says, we're going to allow them to protest because this is a historic moment in history. Are you kidding? It's a historic moment in history, but don't you dare go to church. Don't you Jews dare have a funeral. Don't you dare go back to work. Don't you dare. And then Cuomo wants to deploy, 4,000 police to monitor the restaurants to make sure people are wearing masks when they go in the restaurants. When you don't have police, a woman was raped on a platform, in the middle of the day. There are people walking around in Manhattan, men without their pants on, and they're drinking alcohol from a paper bag and a flask in a paper bag. I mean, the man doesn't have a clue.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.